these facilities, and I just would go home at night after each shuttle mission or each day of the shuttle mission and break the tape down. And I just found myself in the unique position of having the means to do it. I was in a position to do it, and I had all the motivation. The second the shuttle countdown began, I recorded, and I stopped recording when it was at a full stop.
Right. So it was a pretty demanding exercise.
Well,
the
SDS 61, which was the Hubble Space Telescope mission, was 36, I seem to recall, 36 tapes with 8 hours per tape. So these are, you know, you just had to keep going. Some flights are 5 days, some are 11 days, 14. The Hubble Space Telescope mission, I chose that mission, not because I knew about a CCD camera or anything. I chose it because NASA had decided to make this the showcase mission. It is a very important mission. The Hubble Space Telescope is the very most delicate and important thing, and these gentlemen were going to spacewalk for 7 days and fix it. So
right.
It was even interesting for me to just watch them work in this environment. And from the very first moment, the first download came, I found our spherical phenomena.
Did you set out to try and find the phenomena, or did it start off as a sort of self-education exercise in watching the mission footage?
It was everything. It was a self-education thing. It was a curiosity of why no one from the year 1991 till 1994 had bothered to look at any other footage. And I was quite naive and wasn't aware it was all being downloaded because I'd bought into the popular culture or the urban myth that they were scrambling at it and it wasn't available since '48. I've been an editor for 25 years as well as everything else. And I spend an awful lot of my day looking at videotape at amazingly fast speeds, reviewing people's programs for critique reasons and things.
Sure.
My eyes are trained, and I kept seeing something. So when I started breaking the frames down, I found you still couldn't find it. You'd go from this frame to this frame, and there'd be a quick movement. So then I had to get a videotape recorder, an SVH machine, an older model, funny enough, not the digital model, that literally, when you rolled the thing, it would break the frames into fields. And in reality, there are 60 individual pictures that make up 1 second of video. And that's when I found them.
So you were finding these on one of those 60 frames?
I found, in fact, the first one I found, I only found one.
Right.
And then I thought, well, I should be able to, if this is real, I should be able to do it again. And then I found 2. And it just went from there.
What should we really be seeing? How did you know that we were looking at something that was that shouldn't be there, that was unusual? I mean...
Well, the first thing is that in my career, usually in 1 second of video, no movement happens. You can look at 60 frames and, you know, the way the movement goes, not very much happens. It's not like those flip things where the little
Sure.
thing moves when you flip the pages. Literally in 60 of those, nothing happens. Something was happening literally between 1/30th of a second and 1/30th of a second, because there's 30 frames per second. So it was just sort of a, let's look at this. And when I found it was in a scan field, and then the way it works is it scans and scans very fast. But the phenomena seemed to have disappeared by the second scan.
So it was moving very fast?
Very fast. So being a manager and being in charge of a television station, part of my staff is a technical staff. So I started consulting our technicians on to destroy my discovery. I wanted them to tell me that they could.
You wanted to critique it as heavily as you could.
I wanted them to tell me this somebody could fake this. You can't. Then I took the sample to make a long story short, eventually made it up to the scientific community and to a think tank and a behavioral lab and physicists and astrophysicists. And they kind of, you know, just they just humored me at the start. By the end of our meetings, they had their hands on the control. They were running up to the screen, and they were holding meetings. They broke the entire pixelization process down and found it was still there.
So they really didn't expect to see anything in the beginning, but by the time you finished, they were excited.
I think they expected probably that we'd have more of a real-time phenomena, which is still spectacular.
And probably, I guess, that they felt they might be able to explain to you as something perfectly legitimate or normal for...
Well, you never know who's in the Skeptic Society of British Columbia. For instance, the X-Files actor William Davis, who is the cigarette-smoking man in the X-Files, is a member of the Skeptic Society. So I never knew with these scientists what they were trying to do to me.
Sure.
But the amazing thing about this other phenomena, the one that's virtually, I would say it's invisible, although it isn't once you see it. You begin to see it all the time. Is it blew their minds. It blew their minds.
Did they offer any explanation for what they thought it might be? Or are they as baffled?
There's a professor at Simon Fraser, Professor Weinberg, who literally said it had to be it had to be actually there, doing exactly what it was, but he could not. He said we would have to go right to NASA, and eventually we had a lecture at the planetarium here in Vancouver by one of the Hubble poobahs, the chief Hubble designers, engineers.
That must have been a great opportunity.
It was a great opportunity, and what was interesting is when we showed him the spherical shapes on video clips, on video stills, he was comfortable, which meant, he could throw the ice crystal theory, because it was a very small sample at that point. It was only the first time I'd ever done it.
At that point, he confirmed that what you were showing him were ice crystals, or...?
No, he just thought that was basically...
He accepted that it was a phenomena of some sort.
He just... Well, they're comfortable at NASA because James Oberg, who's the NASA debunker, in my estimation, had basically briefed them all that don't worry about all this stuff you see, because that's just all kinds of stuff you don't understand about ice crystals. So he didn't have any, it was the Hubble fellow at the planetarium after the lecture with the head of the planetarium. He sat there comfortable, but when the still frames of this second phenomena were shown to him, he stormed out of the room.
Did he say anything? Did he give any reason?
He made some huffs and puffs and stormed out of the room. Now, we found, that's very unusual kind of reversal. And we obtained, we meaning an artist friend and I, who's got more guts than me, I guess, in terms of walking through front doors, which you're not supposed to. He picked up the phone after he got the number and phoned this fellow. And he got hello, and the second he said who he was, there was back talk, things like, it's that guy, blah, 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 and the phone went down. In other words, communication was cut off.
Not a very good public relations exercise for the...
No, but we found it odd that, these are okay and these aren't. So anyway, that's how it started. So Professor Weinberg, who's a wonderful man, said to me something he'd never said to anybody before. He actually sat down, sort of rolled his hands through his head and whatever hair he had, and said, I believe there are things out there, and it's just a matter of an et cetera, et cetera. Well, my friend, my partner, could not believe. He knows this gentleman, has worked through the Canadian Space Agency with him. This Professor Weinberg studies the